Test. Hey, everybody. Okay, can you hear me? I hope you can. Hey, if you're out there in La La Land, tell me you can hear me so I know. I'm not great at this, but I'd like to pretend that I am. And, I don't know the things I don't know. So I count on y'all to tell me. Anyway, coming on today because the NAR, National Association of Realtors, I'm sure you're going to hear about this soon, has basically come to an agreement, a settlement, a proposed settlement where they're going to settle all these claims about whether or not buyer's agency is legitimate and whether or not buyer's agent should be paid. And this really has to go much deeper as to their claim. The litigants' claims was that we were price fixing, that we weren't allowing buyers to set the commissions that they were paying to their buyers. And I'm assuming because we're settling, or they are settling, that we agreed, or we couldn't fight it. I don't know. Rumor is they just ran out of money. But what's interesting to me in this whole thing is that what they agreed to do is remove the offer of compensation out of the MLS, meaning for realtors, what we do is we look in the MLS when we're going to write up an offer, and we see how much the sellers are paying, right? If the sellers are paying 3%, 2.5%, 17%, we don't know that really. And the reason we need to know that is it's part of the contract, right? We need to put into the contract how much the buyer's agent's going to get paid, or how much we're going to pay the buyer's agent. And this goes way back in further than that, in that the listing agreement always talks about how much the seller's willing to pay the buyer's agent if they bring in a buyer. And anyway, so the MLS shares that information, right, which is fine. Now, if you're a realtor that handles a lot of buyers, you sign an agreement with your buyers and you talk up front with them. At least you should have been doing this. And this is actually the claim, I think, that agents were talking up front with their buyers, and their buyers didn't understand how much they were getting paid to represent them, and that the buyers didn't have an opportunity to negotiate that with their agents before they started making offers, right? It was baked into the asking price, essentially. And so that if you wanted to buy a certain house, you basically were agreeing to pay the agent a certain amount. Now, that is how, in 10,000 foot view, that is how it works. But if you've worked with me in the past, you've probably asked if I could rebate my commission, and sometimes I have. Sometimes I've bought refrigerators. Sometimes I've bought other things, or had to give up some money because I not give up. That's the wrong word. I gave back some of the commission because you also sold your house with me, right? So if some of y'all have done a deal with me in the past where I've helped you sell your house, I listed your house, and when you bought the second house, I rebated part of that commission back to you. Well, now I can't do that. There's a lot of other companies out there that do this sort of thing. Like Redfin is kind of famous for rebating some of that commission back to you, right? Well, now they won't potentially be able to do that, or how much they're going to be able to do that is subject to change per home. So now you have no idea what is really going to happen. So one, it's just a kind of an annoyance because on every single house that we look at, we're going to have to talk to the buyer and say, okay, buyer, this house is listed $500,000, but they're not paying the buyer's agents anything. So if you've agreed to pay me 3%, or let's just keep it at 1% because that's an easy number. If you've agreed to pay me 1%, well, you owe me $5,000 on the top of that $500,000, right? And of course, if we look at two side by side, and one is offering to pay the buyer's agent 3%, and the other one is offering to pay the buyer's agent nothing, which one do you think the buyer's agent is going to suggest you buy? It's kind of the problem, right? Now, we're never supposed to have picked sides in which house you buy based on how much we get paid. but I know for certain that more than a few agents have done that. You know, it's, oh my gosh, what happened to my head? Playing around live streaming. I don't know what I'm doing. Um, anyway, let me see if I can fix my head. Um, going back to my point, everyone knows that there is a buyer's agent out there that has messed that up, right? That has decided, I'm going to direct my buyers to the most expensive house for me, or the one that pays the most commission for me. And it's hard to not. I mean, frankly, right? It just, you want to make a lot of money sometimes. That's okay. Everyone's human, you know? So now, should we be paid on a commission percentage basis? I don't know. My former business partner and I, long time ago, looked at a flat rate for everything. We offered a $5,000 flat rate on buying or selling any home, and frankly, nobody wanted to do it. We put out a considerable amount of marketing for what we could afford at that time, and there really wasn't anybody interested in doing that. So, um, you know, I guess, the market has spoken and said that a commission-based arrangement is the best for everybody. So now NAR is settling with these litigants, and one of the things that they're going to do, I think I mentioned, is they're going to pull out the offer of compensation out of the MLS, and I think it is agreed that no MLS will be allowed to actually share how much the offer is, which is fine. I mean, it's just less helpful, right? So now I have to go to every house. Let's say my buyer's interested in 3 of them, wants to see 3 of them tomorrow. Now, not only do I have to ask if the house is available to show, I have to ask what the commission arrangement is. Because my buyers, when I talk to a buyer, if you bought a house with me, we talk about how much I'm going to get paid. And I tell you that if what you agree to pay me is different from what the seller agrees to pay me, then we're going to talk about how we're going to make up that difference. Either they're offering too much, as the case with new home sales. Some builders offer way, way more than the 3%. And then I turn around to my client and we talk about whether or not they want me to rebate it to them, or they're okay with me keeping it, etc. But if it's anything different than what I was charging them on their buyer's representation agreement, we're going to talk about how that it gets adjusted. And it does, and it will. There's no reason it shouldn't. Everything is adjustable in real estate. Sorry, I want to adjust my screen grab here because it doesn't look right. Oh, I need to go into preview mode. That's why. Silly things about live video. Anyway, how are y'all doing today? You having fun? Huh, guess I can't adjust it. Oh well, it's gonna cut off my top of my head. All right, let's fix that a little bit. Okay, I see no comments. This is a shame. I can't believe nobody's commented on this. Maybe I'm not live. That would be a huge bummer. I should check all the places. So let me ask y'all, do you have any questions? If you have any questions about how this works, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Basically, a lot of the information says, I'm not getting paid anymore. And my wife actually just asked me that question. She said, so you're not getting paid anymore, which is a bummer. And, if that is the case, that's sad. I'm sad for myself. It's been fun, been a fun run. But ultimately, that's not what's really happening. Number one, it's just a suggested settlement right now. It still has to be approved by everybody, and it will take probably a year or more to work its way through the system. And once it does, we will all make changes. Now, let's talk about another thing that's really actually kind of detrimental in this arrangement. In my opinion, this is detrimental to first-time home buyers, right? You're buying a home, first-time home buyer, and you have 3.5% to put down. You're getting an FHA loan. That's all you got. Maybe you have an extra $1,000. If you're looking at a brand new home is $400K. You want me to show you 20 homes, help you over the course of 90 days to negotiate with builders, to pick your colors, to help get it inspected, to tell you what to do when it gets inspected, to show up at closing and make sure that the title commitment's right, make sure the closing statement is right, make sure to answer your questions when you think the lender's throwing you under the bus, because you'll all do that. So seriously, what are we supposed to do if a first-time home buyer has maybe an extra grand to pay me, and they don't have any of the answers, and they want me to work for 90 days for a grand? Okay, maybe, right? Like, there's a situation where any amount of money is enough to do this, in my opinion, right? But it also comes with how much time I can dedicate to this. I can dedicate, just frankly, if I'm getting paid 15 grand versus getting paid 1,000, I can dedicate a lot more time to the person paying me $15,000, right? Nobody in the world is going to dispute that or can dispute that. That's just how it works. We all have to do things to make a living. If all I'm getting paid is $1,000 3 times a quarter, right? Well, I'm gonna need to go work at Home Depot or Best Buy or somewhere else to make an extra buck, right? I can't support my family on that. So, could I do more deals? Sure, we could 10x our deals, but if I 10x my deals, I have to divide by 10 how much time I can give to each client, and that's not good. So I think when this goes through, and the first time home buyers are going to be the ones hurt the most, frankly, right? They're not going to get the support they need from us, and that's going to be a bummer. I don't think the buyer's commission is going away at all. Like, I don't think it's going away completely, I should say. This may be an opportunity to talk about how much buyers make. This may be an opportunity to talk about how much listing agents make. This may be an opportunity to talk about it all, right? That's fine. I know, again, for one, I tried to do a flat rate deal about 7 years ago. Tried to do a $5,000 flat rate real estate transaction. Nobody wanted to take me up on it. Personally, I would prefer to be paid like a lawyer. You want me to sell your house? Please write a check for a retainer. Let's do a retainer. Write a $5,000 retainer fee, and we'll just literally bill you per hour. I think it'd be fine. I think I would, number one, I would just get paid for every hour I work. If I got paid for every hour I worked, that'd be fine. But as a realtor, we don't get paid really very often. We do a lot of work. This video, for one, is work, right? I'm educating my consumers and my customers. This video is not paid, by anybody, right? I'm spending time. I have lights and cameras, and I've imported, the Texas cheerleading parlor background to make sure that I look fun and exciting. But no one's paying for this. This is just a labor of love, right? Honestly, I'd probably do this all day long. If someone could figure out how to pay me by the hour to do this, I would do this all day long. So anyway, I digress, which I am very good at doing. First-time home buyers are going to get hurt. Number one, just hands down, they're going to get hurt. Secondly, and I think this is the big one, is if you're selling your home, someone in a thread on Reddit just 20 minutes ago suggested that if you were selling your home as a listing agent or a seller, and you suggest that if you bring your buyer's agent, it's one rate, and if you don't bring your buyer's agent, it's a lower rate, you just incentivize the other party to not have representation, and you've just made the whole transaction lopsided. If everyone's being honest and open and fair, that's not a big deal. But I guarantee you that having a lopsided transaction like that is going to be a disservice to the buyers in the long run. It might be fine on a couple deals, but in the long run, what you're doing is you're telling people, do not have an educated party on your side. You get a better rate if you don't. So does that mean you can cheat? Doesn't mean you can, but will you? Lots of sellers will, 100%. Lots of sellers are going to cheat at that and are going to take advantage of the unrepresented buyer to, pull one over on them. They may offer terms that aren't great, terms that are just outside of the norm of what the market offers. And that's another way to take advantage of the buyer. And, if you say, okay, buyer, you save, let's say on a $500,000 home, you encourage the buyer to not have an agent and you say $5,000. Well, What did that agent bring to the table? Hopefully they brought something to the table, right? And if they didn't, and if no one thinks buyer's agency is worth it, that's fine. But buyer's agency is actually in place because the buyers were uneducated and no one was helping them, and they were being taken advantage of. So history is on the side of the buyer's agent, right? And again, if that's the way the market's going and we're not going to have any buyers agency, that's fine. And we'll just all list houses. A lot of people are getting out of the business if that happens. But I don't think it will, and I hope it doesn't. Because I think it's better. Number one, it is better to have buyer's agents than for the listing agent to talk to the buyer, right? Because all the buyers think the sellers are there to screw them over. And, the agents are a filter, right? So I don't know. I don't want to say it's a sad day because there's plenty of opportunity, right, for the real estate market to come out better in the long run. But right now, it's not looking great for buyer's agency. And actually, it's not a problem for buyer's agency. The only thing that really changed is that they're encouraging or maybe even requiring buyers agents to have an agreement with their buyer before they make offers on homes, which is something we've done for a decade now. We've required that. Frankly, that's the way it should have been from the beginning. And if any buyer's agents are out there just making offers willy-nilly without a buyer's representation agreement in place, I think they're doing their buyers a disservice. Because if they're not at least having the conversation with the buyer saying, hey, this costs you some money, right? Then they're just doing everybody a disservice. Nothing's free. And I know a lot of agents have suggested that things are free. So as we're sitting here on the live stream, I'm just curious if anyone has any comments. I think if you comment, I can read them, but I don't know. Y'all could be commenting right now, and I have no idea. I don't even know how many people are watching this thing. So if you're out there watching, I appreciate it. But I would really like to answer any questions that you may have about what is going on and what the NAR announcement means. Maybe I should put up a little banner here that says, what's going on. NAR. Oh, let's see. NAR reaches agreement. We could put up this banner and we could talk about it. Oop, that's silly. Oh, no. Okay, let's see here. The beauty of live streaming. Oh, I should make that bigger and white. Let's make it edit text. Let's make it white so you can see it, because the Texas Chili Parlor background is a little dark. Okay. What's up here? All right. Publish. Let's see how this goes. Okay, you can kind of see that now. Let's see. Can I adjust my camera angle? Edit. Oh, bummer. Anyway, we're still live. Shouldn't mess around with this too much. So anyway, back to real estate stuff, right? So again, that's basically how it goes. If you're curious, I can put a link to this statement down here where I'm getting my information, because I think it's very interesting what they agreed to. And oh, that's too long. It's not going to work. Okay, you can't have the link, but what they agreed to is great. Like, they're agreeing to something, and they had to because they're out of money, right? Their insurance ran out. So this covers everybody, all the brokerages that did residential transactions in 2022 of less than $2 billion, which is good. That was me. I would like to tell you I did more than $2 billion in transactions, but that is just not how it worked out. We did a lot. So anyway, what do y'all think? if you have watched the live stream or even post live stream, I know I still have this. I'll put this up on my page. If you're watching this post live stream, I'm curious your thoughts. Like, will you please tell me? Comment below. Tell me I'm a jerk because I'm a realtor. I don't care. I think it's a lot of people. A lot of people actually feel that way, even though we've done a lot to help y'all make a lot of money. You know, it's the fact that there are realtors help homes sell faster, right? It makes the transaction just go smoother. And if y'all aren't realizing how much money that makes y'all every time these deals trade, yes, y'all pay us, but we help y'all make a lot of money. And I think y'all need to figure that out. Y'all being everybody who's complaining about it. The ones that have figured it out don't mind paying, just frankly. Anyway, that's enough of me. Okay, I feel better about my life now. I'm gonna go now, but if y'all watching on the replay, make sure to comment. Tell me all the things you're feeling. I'm curious. Until next time, y'all have a good weekend.